Administration itself consists of the fact that we must manage the certification authorities and the certificates. These two roles should be separated. This is also stated in the Common Criteria Standard. No public key infrastructure should fulfill more than one administrative role in it. Windows forces compliance with this by a separation of 4 roles. We cannot be the Certification Authority Administrator and the Certificate Manager at the same time. To enable the separation of the roles, we need to return again to the CertUtil tool. At the end, a few words about responsibility. Certification Authority management includes such obligations as the installation and configuration of those authorities, certificate renewals, the certification authorities themselves, as well as the monitoring of their activity. It's important to appoint key recovery agents. This is because we may store private keys of users in the certification authority. We've seen earlier that a private user does not leave the computer or smart card. However, the certification authority can be configured to ask the user to send this key. Then it will be encrypted and stored in the agent database. The idea is that if something happens to the key on the user side, we will be able to restore it to him. There's no need to perform fairly complex operations, such as, on behalf of the user, decrypt his files so that he could continue to use them. He'll receive a copy of the key and can decrypt the files himself. You also need to make backups, just as on all computers. Certificate management consists of preparing templates, publishing these templates, processing requests to issue certificates, revoking certificates, and publishing the certificate revocation list. The creation and recovery of backup or user's private keys is an operation that involves more than one person. Otherwise, it would be a violation of the basis of trust. Someone else has to have our private key. Since the private key is encrypted in the Certification Authority database, one person can download it and another person decrypt it. These persons must cooperate with each other. The chances are much less that they will cooperate with wrong intentions. Templates show, however, what the certificate will be used for. In Windows Server 2008, we can use the first, second, or third version. As the name suggests, the template is an example. We can modify the template for our own needs, as long as we use the appropriate edition of Windows. In the standard version, we can only use one of the predefined templates installed together with the operating system. An important point is also the issue of revoking certificates. If we suspect that the key has fallen into the wrong hands, or that the certification authority has been completely compromised, or simply a user no longer works for a company or changed his position and now the old certificate does not match, then we have to revoke it. In order to revoke the certificate, its number must be placed on the certificate revocation list. The whole list is, of course, digitally signed. We have seen that the root certification authority has the requirement to publish such a list every 12 weeks, as we configured it. The less frequently we publish a CRL list, the longer someone may use a compromised certificate. But if we publish it too frequently, we'll generate lots of traffic on the network. Certificate revocation lists can be quite long. The serial numbers of all the revoked certificates from the beginning of the authority's life are there. Each time, the entire list is downloaded to the computer. The solution is to publish a list of differences. On the list of differences are only certificates revoked since the publication of the last full certificate revocation list. All newer Windows systems support a differential mode. We mentioned briefly the topic of archiving keys. Now let's look at the process of key backup and recovery. The user may lose the key that matches the public key, issued on the basis of a certificate in which the backup option was enabled. The archiving option is enabled, for example, for EFS certificates. It is generally enabled for certificates which allow encryption, but it is not enabled for certificates that permit confirming identity. The user who has lost such a key submits a request to obtain its copy. First, this key must go to the certification authority. The private key, generated by the user when submitting the certificate request, is encrypted with the public key of the certification authority and attached to the request to issue the certificate. The certification authority decrypts this key and then encrypts it with the recovery agent key and saves it. We have someone whom we call the key recovery agent. Suppose that now the user has lost the key and would like to recover it from the backup. The certificate manager is the only person who is entitled to read the encrypted key from the certification authority database. He can read it, but he cannot see it because it's encrypted. At this point, the certificate manager sends the user the encrypted key through the PKCS number 7 format to the key recovery agent. This is the only person who can decrypt it. He has the key to which the private key was previously encrypted. The task of the agent is only sending the decrypted key to the user. In this module, we've briefly presented the principle of the operation, concept, and functionality of the public key infrastructure. We've mentioned what this solution is used for and why it's worth implementing our own public key infrastructure. We've also spoken briefly about the issues related to the control and management of such an infrastructure. Thank you for your time.